Is the sky falling in Tallahassee? Well, you know us here at the Voice of College Football. We want to get to the truth. We want to dig to reality, dig down to reality, get the truth. We're not going to pump the sunshine, but we also are not going to preach doom and gloom unless there's real doom and gloom. So again, we will get to the heart of the matter here on Florida State Seminoles Live. Appreciate you all stopping by. And we know that you didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. Nobody expected this. 2 losses, 2 games, 2 what we expect to be mid-level ACC teams. So they haven't even played the best part of the schedule, but they can improve. We shall see. Comments and questions, leave them in the chat. We'll get to them. And again, Florida State Seminoles Live, we come your way every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with the help of this guy, Georgitis, the Renegade Report. Let's push George and the Renegade Report to 3,000 subs. If you're listening right now, which is only a handful of people since we just started the show, but it's eventually going to be a couple thousand. If you're not subscribed to the Renegade Report, please.
It's free. 100% free. Just click that quick.
Get it done. All right, George, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing as good as you can. I'd like to think over the past 2 or 3 years, I've adopted a level of professionalism, getting the opportunity to watch games with no legends and a couple 2 or 3 games with James and Chris, other people in the industry, and meet all these awesome people. So I'm able to take it a little bit better than I used to when I was just purely a fan, but it stinks. It's not ideal, but I can kind of look at the positives, and we can get into it. I'm not the sky isn't falling. The sky is in place, but the ceiling has certainly changed altitude. We've come in from the indoor practice facility into the portable outside, and you got a duck to get in the door, but there's still some tough stuff that could go on in them desks. We could still make something happen.
Your professionalism has been put to the test this season already.
Without a doubt.
All right, final score from Tallahassee on Monday night was 28-13 BC, and we've talked about it all offseason that these nationally televised early season games for Florida State have proven to be a nice showcase for the program's upsurge under Mike Norvell in recent years against LSU in particular. But they've taken it on the chin now twice with everybody watching. That's only compounded the issue. More people have been able to see it because there have been no other football games on. But man, I got to say, I'm going to give some credit to Bill O'Brien and Boston College first and foremost. So it happens with the other teams got to make the plays as well. But of course, we're here to talk Florida State. And a lot of people want to blame DJ Uiagalelei. A lot of people, of course, blaming Mike Norvell. I don't know that there's been too many times that I've seen a guy that's proven himself to be a capable receiver, Kyle Morlock, just look like he's trying to catch a football for the first time in his life. A lot of things. The defensive line that is supposed to be one of the best in the business, giving up 200 yards rushing roughly the first 2 games of the season. The blame can be shared all over the place.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I'd say DJU's pretty high up there on who's taking the most. Offensive line is up there. Linebacker's probably number 1 on the defense. But as far as the wide receivers, like you said, Morlock, he's been a dependable tight end when targeted. He hasn't been the best blocker, but he's been able to make them catches over the middle of the field. Lawrence Sophili in his career has been a dependable pass catcher on those routes out of the backfield. Drops. I think Chris said earlier we had 7 drops in the game. It was really, really hard to watch. But part of that, and this is another thing Chris mentioned on a video we recorded earlier, like how much of it is the ball that's coming to these guys? Because Morlock's hit him in his hands. Toafili's was a little bit farther out, but it's coming 100 miles an hour as a wounded duck. It spins different. I think, you really underestimate how good of a ball and how easy Travis was making it. Jordan was making it on these guys. You miss him. It's not quite that great. And yet, we're only 2 games into the season. When you see that over and over again, that's when the questions come about what do you do? When do you start playing for the future? You didn't bring if you knew you were going to start 0-2, you would have never brought him in. You would have played the young guys. So yeah.
I believe we had
I
Chris
guess
on
I'll
here
get
for a
messed up.
split second. Oh, we had Chris on here for a split second. Now we've lost George, but we will continue on. We got Chris showing up. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Excellent. Thanks for being here. Chris Frazier, Spear Addicts. That should be a go-to, everyone listening to us right now here at the Voice of College Football, just like the Renegade Report, Chris on Spear Addicts. Chris, we appreciate you stopping by. I know you're busy. We cherish the time we can get with you every time you can show up. So thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me. 2024, I hope it's going better for everyone else because this has been one hellacious year for me so far.
So let's get to the heart of the matter. You guys, I would put you two and James in the same bucket from this standpoint. You guys bleed garnet and gold. You love Florida State as much or more than anybody I know. And I've got Florida State fans that are very close to me. My best friend's wife, she graduated from Florida State. A lot of her family, they love Florida State football. And other people that I know. But you three, obviously, you're professionals. You cover it, but you also are bleeding Florida State colors. I would consider you to, and don't take this the wrong way because this is a compliment. Of course, you're biased because you're just fans to the nth degree, but you do your best to, just like I do, to try to filter that out when you analyze the football. And you do a great job. So there are levels to this in that you can have issues with this football team. Just it's this team. We've got issues along the offensive line. The defensive front's not as good as we thought. Maybe the quarterback, versus deeper issues, cultural issues, like we have lack of effort and focus issues. We have maybe a coach who's not as good as we thought he was, all those things. Chris, do you see any kind of trends that could point to these being deeper issues than just this isn't as good a football team as we expected them to be?
I think the guys that are starting right now, in the majority, and people aren't too happy with my take right now because I thought DJU was going to come play his best football at Florida State. I think that the team, and that maybe they should have gave more time and should have given a little bit more, I don't know, maybe less expectation, a little bit more time for chemistry to happen. But I do, in my opinion, believe that the team's given up on the guy that's in control. And that's not a hot take, or like some people will agree with me 100%, some people will disagree. I think that the guys that are starting and everything that I saw in practice, everything that James saw in practice, with Nick Saban saying what he said, I like, you don't say this looks like a top 5 personnel group in the country if they don't look like a top 5 personnel group in the country. In practice, I don't know why we can't take from what's going on in practice and put it into the lights in Doak or in Ireland or wherever the football games taking place, because practice, there's so much effort. Everybody's doing their job, everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and sometimes the offense wins, sometimes the defense wins, but nobody looks lost. There's just not that issue. Is there a culture issue at Florida State? I'm going to go ahead and rim that in. No, it's just the wrong guys are out there in control. The wrong guy is out there in control, and they don't have faith in that specific person. And that's the issue that's going on. The team's letting you know, by the way, that it's all going down. We don't trust this. We don't see where the future in this is, or even for this season, because when you got 1-year rentals, you got to treat them like 1-year rentals. If they work out, great. If they don't, put their asses on the bench. So I think that the team would play a lot harder for the gentleman that's been here for 2 seasons, 2 off seasons, who went through the majority of this. We threw him to the Wolves last year when injuries took place. Well, throw him to the Wolves now. He's got a year more experience. He's had college speed play come at him. It's time for you to look at the bigger picture at Florida State and quit looking at the now, this season. I would rather lose games competitively and a guy learning. I'd rather go 5-7 with Brock Glenn than I would go 7-6 with DJU, because the future of this program is here, and you see the young guys' effort versus the vets. Like we talked about Lions on my show, we talked about uh, Nichols on my show, we talked about just the majority of the youth, the young guys, Cryer, first year playing. Those guys have put in tremendous effort, and it's shown up. It's made plays. Daniel Lyons leads the team in sacks. He's had less than half the snaps of the guys that he's been in for. He leads the team in sacks. He leads the team in tackles for a loss. Then you've got young guys like Conrad Hussey. I would much rather see Conrad Hussey go in there and do what he's doing. Edwin Joseph, I want to see what he's doing, because they all made plays in this past game of versus Boston College, where a lot of your vets, the guys that you're depending on to be the top root of your team, they're just not doing it. Does this light a fire into the rest of their asses? That's a hope. But if these guys are going to give us the effort, I want to lose competitively. I don't want to lose like we're a bunch of bums. So now it's up to the coach. Can you end up having a major culture issue if you don't make the necessary changes? That's exactly what it'll end up being. Now no one's got faith in your coaching ability because you won't take bums out and put effort in. Hustle and effort will outweigh talent any day. Experience is important, but not if you're not going to use what you've experienced to your advantage. And right now, our guys that have experience have not shown that they're going to use that to their advantage. They've dwindled away from it. I don't think that they believe in one another. As far as a specific person, the defense's question is why am I going out here to make a 3-and-out and stop guys if we can't score more than one touchdown in a football game? One touchdown 90% of the time don't win a football game. So what is the defense going to go bust their humps for when the offense is going to go out there and deplete 3-and-out? So I think it's time for what some people call a youth movement. I'd say you have to call it that because they're younger than the guys in front of them. But is it a true youth movement? Not really. It's time to see these guys that want to be there, that have appetite. They're ready to eat. So I'm ready for those guys, because the ones we have given the opportunity to, they've outshined the guys that are veterans.
Very well said, man. I agree with everything you said. And yeah, it's like, just because you sit DJU to start, say, the Memphis game and give Brock Glenn a chance, that doesn't mean he doesn't come in the rest of the year. Maybe that ends up happening. Comment right there from 5 Adam says Mike needs a dual threat quarterback. That's part of getting Brock Glenn in there. You know, to what Chris said, like, it's not working. Like, the offense, they've kind of laid down, like, given up on it. You see, like, guys are surprised when they finally got hit in the hands. I do want to shout out Kentron Portier because he made some good plays towards the end of that game. I hope he gets targeted more. He talked about Cam Davis. I want Cam Davis, you know, maybe you split it 50-50 with Roydell Williams on the carries now, because we've seen Roydell Williams is not some extra thing. He's not going to get yards after the, you know, catch and break tackles and things of that nature. He's going to get the design play run. He's going to make some good plays, but Cam Davis is a difference maker. He's putting that extra bit of effort when he gets in there. So I'm happy to see him get more touches. And Brock Glenn is much more mobile than DJU. He's much closer to what has worked for Mike Norvell in this offense. We thought DJU could come in and be the closest to what Mike Norvell ever had, but it's just not there. The touch is just not there on the football. People try to tell us we thought he could get a little bit better with Mike Norvell, but the way it's worked out, it's been kind of the worst we've seen of him, unfortunately. Maybe putting him on the bench lights a fire under his butt. And even if it doesn't work out for whatever you got to bring him back in, maybe you get a different spark when that happens. Chris said it, the youth movement, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I want to see these young guys. I want to get a look at Elijah Moore. I want to get a look at Lloyd McCoy. I want these guys to get reps, get opportunities, like national championship, even ACC championship. Like, that's kind of off the table. Like, it's a possibility for the ACC championship, but I wouldn't, like, very slim. Like, it's just about what can you do to build a core by the end of this year that's coming back that will prevent this happening in the first game next year? What can you do to build your culture back with the younger guys, the core guys you have that are coming back? What can you do with them to where you can add from the portal, add from the high school recruiting class, and have more of a chance to have a cohesive unit? Because there are some misjudgments going on. Where there's hubris. We lost 13 players to the NFL, 10 of which were draft picks, another 11 or 12 that got contracts. Unfortunately, you had injuries, or it would have been more. It is what it is. Exactly what he said. I'd rather go 5-7 with Brock than 7-5 with DJU and get all the young guys. And we can get into defense and stuff later. But I've already called out the wide receivers, Landon Thomas. After that performance for Morlock, that's more touches for Landon Thomas. I want to see Landon Thomas more. He got a win in a little in the second half. Let's see more of that. I wouldn't mind seeing Jalen Lucas get the ball more, but how many years of eligibility does he have? How does it fit with the offense? We'll see.
So basically, anybody who's in their last year of eligibility, if they are not meeting the standard of Florida State at their position, you might as well just throw them on the bench.
No honorifics. No, you deserve it. So that's like on what you put up to this point. It's got to be earned in practice today and tomorrow. If the redshirt seniors get it, okay. No, DJU's a little different in that. Like, he's the quarterback. Like, to me, I don't know what he could do in practice to get it, because we've seen it on the field after practice, and it's the same thing with some of those other guys. Like, again, I'm not saying put them on the bench for the rest of the year, but get these younger guys some snaps, light a fire under their ass, whatever the case may need to be. But you need to start building for the future.
Folks, we do this every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time with all of you. Appreciate you stopping by for Florida State Seminoles Live. And again, it's every Wednesday. Bring a friend or two or 50 with you. We got Chris Frazier from Spear Addicts, also Georgitis from the Renegade Report. And man, I guess if nobody else has motivation this week, Mike Norvell's going to have some motivation going up against his old school. And when this one got thrown on the schedule, it was
next week.
Oh, next week after the bye week. Correct? Yeah. Yes. Okay, you guys fooled me there. I had bye week written right here. Then you said Memphis, and I thought, maybe I misplaced my bye week. Okay, that makes sense because they play the week 0 game. I thought that was right, but they're getting ready for Memphis. So there's a lot of things happen during bye weeks. So maybe he evaluates for the next week, and then by next Wednesday, he knows, okay, I'm making switches here, and there. And these guys really want it. These guys don't. See ya.
Yeah, it's you gotta look at this, because NIL made this business. Everybody getting paid and all of those things. If you're unloading Lamborghini trucks off of a flatbed and your ass ain't flattening a running back or a quarterback, if that's your job, then I don't know about repo companies and all of that and retracting checks for NIL, but I would be very slim to scared on what the hell is about to happen with my money coming next month. But with that being said, I think that this is about finding the foundation of the love of the game again. That appetite has to be there. We've seen it in the NFL when guys get paid big contracts, they don't play like they used to no more for some reason. They're not after that money no more. They got what they needed. All right, I'm going to be all right, whatever. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm saying that you have one of two things going on. A bunch of high-end roller guys that don't feel like they have to give much more effort. They're going to do their thing. They're going to go with the motions. Or you've got a team telling you, I don't trust what is in front of me and what's supposed to lead this team to victories. Now, to test that theory, you got to pull the guy that's leading, because you can't just set everybody. So you pull the guy that's leading the horse to nowhere, unfortunately. You got to pull that guy and give the young guy an opportunity who's had the opportunity before. You threw him to the Wolves. I'm going to keep saying it. You threw him to the Wolves, you won a football game. Is it because of everybody else around him? Of course that helped, but he still had to do his job, and he did so. So I think that it's time for us to test the theory, and so you don't end up having a culture issue. But when you've got recruits, and I'm not trying to jump ahead of something being asked, but when you got recruits saying, I believe in this team, I believe what Coach Norvell and the staff is going to do, I'm not going anywhere. I'm a Knoll. Don't worry about me. quit asking me questions because I know I can come and do this X, Y, and Z for the team. But you got a fan base that filled up the stadium to its ability and capability. You have to let those guys and girls that are coming and watching these games, you have to give them something to cheer for. And I can't look at this one guy and say he's got 1 year and I'm going to be able to pull it off. You have to pull it off. If you don't, which it doesn't look like you are, you're 0-2. It's not like nothing's been done. Some things have taken place. So now it's time to move with the guy that's going to be your quarterback next year. What does it look like? Now, that's Norvell. That's part of being a head coach. Hard decisions have to be made. The difficult decision needs to be made. Move forward and don't look back, because that's what great teams and great organizations and great programs do. We did it with Mackenzie Milton with Jordan Travis. I want people to realize that this same scenario has happened before. We brought a more experienced quarterback in Mackenzie Milton to help Jordan, and Jordan ended up being the guy. That's what made Jordan the guy. That's when you knew this is the guy that's going to lead your team, and he's going to be here more than next year. He's not here for 1 year and gone the next. So you have to do the same thing with Brock. Show him the respect of his abilities, show him the respect of his leadership capabilities, because I'm going to say this. When Portier caught the touchdown pass and made the two juke moves to get into the end zone, I didn't see the guy that threw him the football celebrating with him. I saw Brock Glenn run all the way from the sideline to the end zone to celebrate with his wide receiver. There is a respect to this game. If I don't respect the man that is throwing me that football, but I respect the man that's coming up the sideline that should be throwing me the football, then so be it. Pull one and give me the other, because that's who we trust and that's who we're going to play our ass off for. Coach, I believe the players have spoke loud and clear. It's time to do exactly what they're asking you for, because right now 0-2 ain't it, and he knows it. That's not our standard. Let's move forward.
And regardless of who was responsible for the wins at the end of the year, Brock Glenn was on the field for a big win. So the players can relate to him being the leader on the field for that game. And again, for as much as the offense may have struggled in that game, he was still the guy that was getting it done.
Look, sorry to jump, but we aren't seeing DJU like he's not doing. We don't need him to do these things that takes 5 years to learn at the quarterback position. Like, it's very basic, dumbed down stuff. If Brock can just go in there and execute, make 3 or 4 different passes, like not, have his touch be so out of whack that it's 110 mile an hour fastball from 10 feet away. Like, so yeah, I just got, really fired up thinking about, like, definitely, and thinking about 2021 and how they did things. At the very minimum, give him a half. Give him the first half of that Memphis game, and let's see what Brock can do. Like, you'll never know. And really, players do raise everybody up around them, the offensive line, the running backs, those guys who have it, like he was talking about with their teammates. They do it. Jordan Travis did it. James Winston did it. All the good quarterbacks you ever had, they do it. And for whatever reason, not enough time. He didn't do it at Clemson. He didn't do it at Oregon State. We thought that, Mike was able to get his deficiencies, get his best things out of him. It hasn't happened. But yeah, you don't go till you're 0-4, or you're 0-5, 0-6, like Chris was saying earlier as well. Like, just give Brock a chance. I want to get a look at him. You give Brock a half and give Luke a quarter, whatever the case may be. Let's just get some experience. Whatever experience they get this year isn't going to kill them. We're not throwing them out there against Alabama first game. Memphis is a good time to do it, and we can move on to the defense and stuff. But yeah, big stuff.
Well, before we talk defense, I was going to switch gears in regards to the focus of all this mess, and I'm going to go big picture on this. So we know that Florida State's more prominent in college football news than any other program in the country since the end of last season, because of the playoff snub, because of the court case and the fight against the ACC and all of that. I don't think of Florida State. If somebody asked me who are the most hated programs in college football, I would never even, Florida State wouldn't even cross my mind based on my experience. And I think I have quite a bit of talking to people online for years and years and years. I can think of three or four other programs that come to mind immediately. But because of that, all of that ensued over the last 6 months, I got to think that and maybe this is not me confirming this in any such way. This is just conjecture and throwing out a topic for observation, whether that's animosity within the ACC to say, these are the guys that think they're better than us. This is the program that thinks they're better than us. They want to leave. They think they're worth more than us. And that there's a target on Florida State within the ACC schedule. And then also just nationally, people, of course, responding to what happened late last season and then throughout the offseason, that that this is a even worse look because of all of that.
So what I'll start with is first and foremost, have we had a lawsuit against the ACC before in the situation that we're in? No. But what we have done is been a really bad football program. Looked really, really bad. Started off 0-4 with Mike Norvell. Had terrible times through Willie Taggart. Had some bad times at the end of Bobby's career. Guess what Florida State was capable of with those bad seasons, just like the good ones? The good ones were 100% outperforming everybody. The bad ones were outperforming everybody viewership-wise, 99% of everybody else, as far as who's in our conference. So, do they have a target on our back? Do they love what we're going through? Probably. Do they have a target on our back? Sure, why not? That has nothing to do with the capabilities of this football program. It has nothing to do with what's going on the field. It's not that Florida State took too much time and they asked the quarterback to look into the case and what would you argue? It's not any of those things. Football is football. These kids are asked to do what they're asked to do. I'm not saying that you were insinuating any of that. I'm just stating that I don't want people to go off on the left wing. Well, Mike and Alford and all them were too focused on this and that, and that's why this didn't happen. Mike Norvell has nothing to do with the case. He doesn't have a clue on how it's going no more than you or I, possibly less than you or I. So I'm in the boat. I just don't see the effect that it has on the football program. Are we having woes from being snubbed last year? I think that gives you the chip on your shoulder to play your ass off this year. And that was the majority of the guys going into this year, what they were talking about. And that's the guys that have performed up to this point. Douglas, Portier, Lyons, Cryer, all of them said, I will not let this happen to us again based off of one player. Supposedly the problem was our quarterback went down. That's why you don't deserve to be in. Maybe that's true. Maybe all of that was the facts. Here's the issue. They didn't want to see that again. These guys that came out and have performed like they're supposed to, who have had less snaps than the rest, have done their job. So I just think you got some leadership issues. This team, and when I say leadership, I mean on the field with players. You need player-led teams to win football games, to win championships, to win in chess, whatever the hell it is that you're doing. Something's got to lead you into being the team that you are. And the leader that is on the field is not up to the job. It's unfortunate. It's a miscue. It's $1 million mistake, whatever you want to call it. But why are you going to stick in the rearview mirror instead of looking out the windshield? Quit looking
Here's
at what's
what we
behind.
got. Sorry, my bad. I thought she was done. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I am done.
Okay, yeah. I was just saying we got a team full of sidekicks. You know, we don't have Batman. Like in years past, it was Jermaine Johnson, it was Jared Verse. And when you have Batman, it makes everything Robin do a little bit easier and look a little bit better. But we just have none of those guys that have showed up on the defense, especially the front four. Like you've got 4 Robins out there, no Batman. That's been kind of the issue. And you know, the leadership vacuum, we had a lot of hubris. We thought it was going to get closed off. But we need to figure out who that is, who can be Batman, figure out who can play better together. Whether it's you put Farmer and 95 out there, lines like me and Chris talked about earlier, whether you change guys on the offense, whether you give, you know, the younger defensive ends a look, or maybe you put an or between Marvin and Peyton, since they play more of a more similar role than people want to admit. Like when I see it, I see a very similar role with those two. I'd rather have 13 on one side. They may have done that a little bit, but yeah, it's time to play around with things and find out who the dogs are and not lose the team, not let the culture things become a real thing, as you talked about, Mark. I don't think it's not so much like culture is like with the reduced practice, one of the comments said that we need more physical practices. Well, you don't have straight up regular game scrimmages anymore, so it is harder to predict. And everybody thought it was good. It's like when you turn on the lights, you find out. It is what it is. But I don't think, I believe 100% in Mike Norvell. It's not like there's a mutiny out there. You're just not getting that 102% you need. We talked about another thing I've said a bunch of times. We've got the third down both games a ton. 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, even 3rd and longs. But you don't make that play on 3rd down. Nobody's getting that sack to get you off the field. They aren't able to hit that extra gear. It just it hasn't came. It's not like those people aren't, as Chris said, those are player-led people. Those are self-motivated people. Like, you have to have enough of those self-motivated, 120% guys to rub off on the other ones around them, and we just haven't seen that yet.
Appreciate y'all being here at the Voice of College Football. It's every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Chris Frazier from Spear Addicts. What's going on over there, Chris?
Well, I'm finally getting back into the move of things. I'm starting to get regular content dropped on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm starting to drop today. It'll start, but I'm starting to drop some short-time content. Just did an episode last night, kind of out of the blue. It was 10:15 Eastern. That was when my time was available. I started, and I was like, I don't know how good it's going to do, but I'm going to get this as a starter to get me back. Everybody knows that I'm coming back, and everybody understands that things are going to get back to normal. Fortunately for me, that video blew up. So there will be another video dropped here in about 30 minutes. And we will continue on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. So y'all get over there and check out the newest video that was dropped live from done last night. Subscribe to the channel. At bare minimum, like the video, or tell me you don't like it. I don't care if you dislike the video. Make your comments, make your arguments. Real quick, there was a comment that was up there at the bottom that stated that Brock Glenn looked like crap last year. I can count on one hand how many true freshman quarterbacks looked better than crap in the past 15 to 20 years. Maybe Mark can name more, but I've got 5 that I can think of that looked better than crap.
Yeah, and thrown into a situation with hurt a lot of the year. Like, there's so many things into it different than this. That's another question mark. He did bring up a good thing. Why haven't we seen the Toafili Wildcat formation this year at all? Because teams have loaded the boxes. It's not like you're worried about sending them out there and they don't think you can pass. They've had 8 or 9 guys in the box against DJU. We saw that thing work wonders last year. I'm a bit surprised we haven't seen that. Is he scared that people are going to be like, oh my God, you're running that gimmick against Boston College and Georgia Tech? I don't know. But, or is it because Toafili hasn't done good in his chances? I'd like to maybe see that busted out against Memphis. I don't know. Maybe it's because people have tape on it. But yeah, definitely would like to see that.
Renegade Report. What's going on over there, George?
Man, we're busy. Like Chris said, I'm also doing trying to get more of those 10 to 15, 20-minute videos out there to try and get the other half. Kind of half of YouTube does live streams and is into what we do. Me and Chris really love doing those live streams. And then the other half, they don't watch stuff longer than 15 minutes. They like the shorter stuff. So we're trying to reach that side of the people who don't have time to watch those. So got 2 or 3 of those in the can to release over the next few days. And as far as the regular shows, it's Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, usually at 7 p.m. Eastern. We do the Renegade Rundown, where we just keep you updated on everything FSC football, talk about the next opponents, what's going on, etc., the lawsuits, all that stuff. And then on Mondays at 9:15 Eastern, there's a Renegade Roast, which is just, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a roast. It's a comedy roast. They have fun, troll all the different teams across the country. Unfortunately, we've been the main targets the past 2 weeks. So you can go check out last night's roast and go on through that thing. Don't be looking to get your feelings hurt or think everything's really, really serious. Just having fun and venting frustrations. But trying to get to 3,000 subs. We really appreciate everybody. It's at the Renegade Report right here on YouTube. Try and get us there, and that's it.
Folks, we've got a new initiative here at the Voice of College Football for 2024, going to take advantage of some of our prediction skills and prognostication skills that we've displayed for over the years. So check this out, and we'll be back in 45 seconds, folks. College football is even more exciting with some action on the line. And the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, showstopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now. Steve Merrill's going to make me recut that. Not 21-5 against the spread, 22-5 now against the spread as he hit his first pick under the radar selection. Went Pitt to cover against Kent State last week. So we appreciate that. Everybody head on over to the main channel and sign up if you enjoy that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm envisioning this, at least if I'm running the show, that I'm going to go through each position group, go through each position, look at the starter, look at their performance through 2 weeks, sit down with the position coach and say, left guard, is he doing his job? You know, and then take into consideration, how much experience does he have? And if he's a veteran player, who's backing him up? And obviously the offensive line, there's a lot more mixing and matching you can do there to put your best 5 on the field. But to basically go through each position, evaluate whether that player's meeting the standard. And if they're not, if you've got a viable alternative, give them a shot, throw out a new team against Memphis, and that might be 5 different guys on the first 22, or it might be 9, or it might be 1, whatever it is. What do you guys think of that? And maybe just pump a little fresh blood into this team for the third game.
Well, you want to start offense or defense?
You crank us up on either side, George. Go to it.
Let's start defense. If I'm the coach and I'm deciding the starting lineup moving forward, I already gave you a little bit of it earlier. I'm going to put 11 and 7 on one side and split their reps. And I'm going to put 13 on the other side. Sione Lolohea. I'm going to bring Byron Turner behind him. I think those are your best 4. I just think, you know, even though Byron Turner, he's more like MJJ and 11, I think it's important to get Lolohea out there. So that's what I'm doing with the ends. Inside, I'm moving Daniel Lyons up, and I'm giving him 6's spot. I'm going to put Daniel Lyons and Joshua Farmer. We're going to get Joshua Farmer back in the 44. Instead of the 5, we're going to have 44 and 95 in the interior of the defensive line. At linebacker, I'm probably going to keep it the same with DJ Lundy and the young man Blake Nicholson. I think those are your 2 best options. But I want to get Juice Cryer more and more reps. I want to, you know, who knows? I wouldn't be. He's a little young. I don't know if you start him. I haven't seen enough out of him, but definitely get Cryer more reps. And then back in the secondary, it hasn't been something we've talked a lot about. I mean, their tackling has been criticized at times, but the secondary hasn't had a chance to do what they do. You know, Georgia Tech threw it, I think, 16 times or something. And Boston, maybe it was Boston College that threw it 16 times. Neither team threw it over 20 times. They threw it when they absolutely had to, and half of those throws were slip screens and things of that nature. I don't have that many problems. They fixed it already. They put Conrad Hussey back there with Shaheem Brown. I think that's right at safety. At corner, A.Z. Thomas is what he is. Ventrell Cypress, he's not a 1-year guy. It's a 2nd-year guy. You can do something with Kevin Knowles, but I haven't seen enough out of Earl Little or anybody else to say you switch it up. Maybe you give Edwin Joseph a shot in the slot. I wouldn't be against that because he's been a short tackler and he's made some plays. They've been playing him more outside a lot, but yeah, that's what I'm going with on the defense. If you want, like, I don't know how much it'd be fun to go through and do backups, but
We can hit the offense. George, you can take us right through.
all right, we'll do the offense. Again, I've said it already. I think you start Brock. I think you give Brock a shot at quarterback. Offensive line, Maurice Smith. I think he's going to be your best center no matter what. Darius Washington, it's hard with the offensive line, man. I don't know what they're going to do at right tackle because Byers was hurt. He didn't play. They had Jalen Early out there playing right tackle in parts of the second half, and it looked really rough in certain parts. He did pretty good in certain parts. He's a younger offensive lineman that you're going to play. It's hard to balance bringing in the youth on the offensive line and just really trying to figure out who the 5 very best guys are, no matter what their age is. The big thing is going to get Atkins back. You don't have Atkins. They'll probably just stick pretty similar to what they've had on the offensive line. If they can get Byers back, he'll be at right tackle. I'm probably going to say keep the guy who is at second year. So keep Keandre Jones at right guard, left guard. I'm having a brain fart. Is Richie Leonard. He's been great. Richie Leonard's probably been the best offensive lineman, probably the best player on offense all year. And then left tackle. I don't know what's going on with Darius. I give him another shot. He's been a guy for you. He's been absolutely bought into the climb and everything. One rough game and pulling me off of there. You got to hope Hakeem Williams can come back and start at wide receiver. We'll see. We'll see if he's back from Memphis or not. We've got the bye week. I think maybe he could have went this week and they made the decision to just go ahead and get the bye week and the extra week. So hopefully we see Hakeem Williams starting at wide receiver. And I don't know if you give Malika Benson a chance with Brock and see if he's better about using him, making those NFL throws that he needs thrown to him, back shoulder throws dropped in the bucket and things of that nature. I'm not against benching Benson and putting one of the young guys out there to give him a shot, whether it be Elijah Moore or what am I talking about? Kentron Portier needs to start. Give me Kentron Portier on one side, and hopefully Hakeem Williams is back. If Hakeem Williams is back, I'm not against putting some youth over there again. Maybe an Elijah Moore or somebody like that. Tight end, it's tough, man. You don't have many options. Maybe you just make the decision to sit at Morlock and put in Thomas. I don't know. I'll make the call. You start Thomas. Bench Morlock. If anything, start Thomas, and maybe Morlock comes in the game. I wouldn't throw him to the dogs yet because, again, he's a long-term guy, and it was just one game.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody?
I agree.
Anybody out? I didn't do running backs.
Running backs.
Yeah, the running backs I'm fine with. I might give Cam the start just to switch it up over Roydell Williams. So that'd be Cam and Toafili, and then Roydell Williams and Jalen Lucas behind them. But Roydell just hasn't shown me anything extra. Like he's done well, but he's not breaking tackles. He's not making anything extra effort plays. Maybe that's just not who he is. But again, I'd rather build for the future with Cam Davis and get him rolling, because I think he is somebody that 5-6 games into the year, a running back can become somebody as a freshman who can carry a team. Like that's not that common with quarterbacks as true freshmen, but we saw Dalvin Cook as a true freshman carry the team towards the second half of the year in 2014 when Jameis Winston was throwing 3 picks a game. It was him running for 200 yards against Florida and things of that nature that got us some wins that year. So yeah, get Cam Davis the ball more. We don't have a fullback, so that's about it.
This Memphis team is not a joke, that's for sure. 10-3 last year. They won their first game against an FCS team, 40-0, I think was the final score. Seth Hennigan's a veteran quarterback who threw 32 touchdowns, 9 picks, 66% completion percentage. They've got their top 2 wide receivers back who combined for 125 catches last week. Now they've got Troy at home this week after the big win against North Alabama. So you would expect Memphis. I think that they're a pretty sizable favorite. I did not look at the line, but let's say they win the game by a couple touchdowns as expected, if not more. I got to think that the folks at Vegas who have all their permutations and calculations and everything lined up, they're maybe scratching their head on this one. They're not going to know what to do. I guess I got to think somebody out there has figured out who the last team to lose back-to-back games to start a season as a double-digit favorite, who that would be. That doesn't happen very often. So
I don't know about double-digit favorites, but Florida State did it in '89 and went on to win the next 10 games. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll pray for it.
Yeah,
People are talking about Memphis being a better team than Boston College and Georgia Tech. I don't know about that. I haven't watched enough of it.
Who said that? People are talking about that?
People. I'm not going to throw anybody's name out there in specific, but people. And when it comes to Boston College and Georgia Tech, off what they were last year, that isn't a crazy thing to say. The question is, like, Boston College has Bill O'Brien. The new rules really favor him. The NFL coaching style with the green dot and everything. Georgia Tech, we saw what their offense was last year, putting up points against Georgia and things of that nature. We have no idea, though. Are they who we thought they are? Like, are Boston College and Georgia Tech 7-8 win teams tops? Or are these teams that are going to battle for an ACC title at the end of the year? Yeah, true. That we'll find out later. So really hard to judge what this team is. So another opportunity, third game of the year. This would be the Jacksonville State. We don't need that to happen. We need to go out there and win. But hard times, man. Mike Norvell's got a lot on his plate. People want change. You heard what I called for, the youth movement. But then if he does that, and then we get blown out by Memphis, with your DJU and everybody else on the bench, then those other questions come in. It's just we thought it was a reload. We really thought it was there. I've talked about how we're not Georgia or Bama yet. It isn't that kind of reload to where you're going to be a national title favorite, but I thought it was enough to where we were going to be able to get into the playoffs and compete in the first round. But it's turned out to be a rebuild. Like, the people that are like, "Ooh, year 5 and you're having to do this and do that." Like, yeah, that's when rebuilds happen. Year 5, like that's like normal football. It is what it is. We saw it with Brian Kelly and a lot of different people in that 5th year or 4th year, 6th year, whichever it works out, depending on when people go. When they lose that big group of guys, you have a fall off. It didn't happen with Jimbo Fisher in 2012. We lost 10 guys and came back and won the national championship and lost another 12, 13 guys. I don't know if it was hubris or whatever. We thought there was a chance you could do something like that this year, and it's just not it. They got out there on the lights, and they're missing that mental component. They're good enough to win some games, but until they get that proverbial monkey off their back and believing in the guy next to them, believe the quarterback's going to get them the ball, believe that Adam Fuller's made the right call, et cetera, they're not going to win any games. So hopefully this 2 weeks and this bye week hits at a perfect time, and we see a spark next week.
Midtown making an interesting comment here. I don't know if anybody's got his address or his contact information that we could hold him to this, maybe get him on video. But if Mike Norvell loses to Memphis, he's going to eat dog shit.
Everybody's going to say that now to try to get their 15 minutes of fame.
He's also saying that the last 0-2 start for a top 10 team was almost 100 years ago. Well, that's flat out wrong. It happened 2 years ago. Notre Dame was the top 10 team, lost its first 2 games 2 years ago. Ohio State was on that list from 1986, as George mentioned. 1989, Florida State. There were only about 5 teams since like 1950 on that list that started 0-2 after starting the season in the top 10.
Boom, Midtown. You just got served by the stat man, Mark Rogers.
Yeah, but Notre Dame finished 9-4 after that start 2 years ago. They lost to Ohio State and Marshall. The Ohio State team finished 10-3. They won the Cotton Bowl and finished in the top 10 in the country. So, and that Florida State team finished 10-2. So all those teams bounced back. The teams from the 1950s didn't bounce back, but the last 3 bounced back to have pretty good seasons. So it's happened.
We shall see. And again, like, I'm not making an excuse. I'm just providing context here. We got a couple minutes left. People like to compare things, apples to oranges, like when people started and things. Go back and look at 2020 and all the coaches that started that year with COVID and everything going on. See how many are left Then when he got fired and we're able to do anything close to what Mike Norvell did, like, so yeah, we're at year 5. It's the year that you lose a bunch of players and things. It didn't turn out well, but like the sky isn't falling. He built it again, unfortunately, which is pretty crazy. This is his 3rd year of starting 0-2 because you had 2020 and 21. So it's like it seems absolutely terrible. And it is absolutely terrible. But I trust he can get it going again. This is his first 5th year ever. We talked about it. He started during COVID. He's, new head coach, learning on the fly. All those things are true. He got it going. Well, he's back to square one, kind of, but with way better high school talent and things coming in there than when he arrived. So I trust him to get it together. He's seen it once. He can see it again. So we got a 305 here from Falconer TRX. Haven't seen you in a minute, dog. Looking at the top 25, it's all about you. Don't get used to it, bro. Well, actually, get used to it. It's going to be at least for a month and a half. Because they don't play anybody till you play us, and we ain't anybody. Yeah, y'all got a few tough games at the end of the year, but I have a feeling the Miami hype train will roll on for quite a bit. But they have been over the top with it, man. But whatever. Run your victory laps. I get it, and we appreciate the 305.
Falconer TRX, thank you so much for that. Of course, we're sliding on over to the Miami show here in a few minutes. So we got our one contribution. It came from a Miami fan on our Florida State show. All right.
Kyle Pickett was awful generous on the post game.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
On that one.
He has helped us out for a long, long time.
Yeah,
all right, George, appreciate you. What's that, man?
No, I was just gonna say he was picking on Jen or something one night, and like they went at it. It was pretty funny. He ended up dropping several $100s in the process. I was like, hey, be nice to that guy. You can't. He's like, I can't. I don't give a shit. I don't argue with him. Like, I get it. We love you, Kyle. Come back.
Yeah, Kyle's been stopping by for a long time.
Yeah, he's the man, dude. He makes it rain wherever he shows up.
Okay, George. Again, it's the Renegade Report, and it would be nice if George checked out his channel here in about 20 seconds and saw about 15 or 20 new subs.
Bring them on over.
So anybody watching us right now, or if you're watching us on the replay, or keep in mind that more people are watching us right now than have watched us the entire hour. So you know what that means. Go back to the beginning of the video and watch the entire thing. We appreciate that. And Falconer coming back with this one. Everyone hates the Gators. So you all can agree on that.
We can definitely agree on that.
Okay. All right, George. Appreciate you being here. Chris, wherever you are, thanks for stopping by. And we will be back next Wednesday, everyone. And we'll see you then. And in the meantime, enjoy the bye week. And come back ready to roll against Memphis the following Saturday.
The Noles. Come on, Noles. Let's get it going.